Mom was still inside.
In the midst of a sudden fire at my son's family home, my 7-year-old grandson's tearful cry shocked me. His mother had disappeared without a trace 2 years ago, leaving no contact with the family. Ultimately, there were no eyewitness accounts, and the truth remained shrouded in darkness. But didn't Mom leave? I was puzzled over my grandson's words. However, my surprise grew when the firefighters emerged from the flames, carrying something. At 60 years old, having lost my husband, I'd been living alone for the past 2 years. It might seem lonely, but I found contentment in my solitude. The reason? My son's family lived nearby. Ryan, my only son, married Amy, who is 2 years younger, and they were blessed with a child afterward. When I see my son happily living with his beautiful wife, who looks like a model, and their adorable son Oliver, I also feel happy. I believed this routine would continue indefinitely, but then something felt off. One day, during a visit to my son's house, I sensed it.
Hey, Amy, Mom's here. Hurry up and bring some tea.
Ha! You don't need to fuss so much. Ryan, with an oddly triumphant expression, said.
By coddling her like that, she'll end up being an inconsiderate woman. I'm the only one crazy enough to marry her, so I need to make her understand.
His words left me frowning. Usually, my son and daughter-in-law get along well, but on this day, he seemed to be in a bad mood and was unusually confrontational with Amy. Despite the hurtful words, she smiled and brought the tea, leaving me feeling uncomfortable. Hey, isn't that a bit harsh? I couldn't let it slide and turned to my son. Amy, always gentle, brushed it off, but his attitude bothered me. As Ryan's mother, I felt compelled to correct him. However, he retorted,
What does it have to do with Mom? Forget it, I'm not feeling well.
To my surprise, he sulked like a child and retreated to the bedroom. Even Oliver, my grandson, looked anxious in this tense atmosphere.
Daddy, sometimes it's like this.
It wasn't like this before. Has something happened recently? His sad voice tugged at my heart as I glanced at Amy. She smiled softly and replied,
He's been stressed due to work. Please don't worry.
Though I didn't press further, I assured her, if anything comes up, feel free to talk to me. Ultimately, I left my son's house without uncovering the cause of his ill temper. The unsettling atmosphere caught my attention, but I hesitated to meddle too much in my son's marital issues. However, a few weeks later, I found myself witnessing another peculiar scene. Hi, Amy, Oliver. Shopping together? I spotted them at the local supermarket by chance. When they turned to my greeting, their expressions seemed oddly subdued. You don't seem well. Is something wrong? Memories of my recent visit to my son's house flashed through my mind. Yet, Amy once again put on a smile and replied calmly,
It's nothing. Just a bit tired.
But the unease persisted. Suspecting her facade, I glanced into their shopping cart and noticed an abundance of bandages and disinfectants. What's this? Did someone get injured? Oliver isn't into sports, right? Before Amy could answer, my son appeared, having apparently returned from the restroom.
Hey, Mom, are you here too? Sorry, but we're in a hurry. See you later.
Without proper greetings, Ryan hurriedly led them to the checkout. His forceful demeanor, Amy and Oliver's anxious vibes, and the contents of the cart, bandages and disinfectants, all added up. I need to have a proper conversation about this. Finally feeling that something was amiss, I watched them walk away, silently resolving to take action. A few days later, I visited my son's house once more. However, it seemed my actions were already too late. Hello? Wait, where's Amy?
Actually, she left. No contact whatsoever.
His regretful words left me speechless. Upon hearing the story, it turned out that right after that day at the supermarket, she vanished without a word. Her parents had passed away early, and there was no way to reach her.
We've already consulted the police, but there are no eyewitness accounts.
Ryan looked utterly defeated, and Oliver huddled in the corner of the room. I felt a sense of helplessness wash over me. While I had sensed something was off, I never imagined it would escalate to this. But wallowing in despair wouldn't help. I'll search for her too. Amy must be okay. Let's pray for her safety. Encouragingly, I decided to find her, hoping to restore my son and daughter-in-law's happiness. Despite my wishes, no useful information surfaced. The situation remained stagnant. Amidst all this, Ryan continued to work stoically, but Oliver seemed deeply affected, withdrawing into himself. It's no wonder, considering he lost his precious mother at such a young age. Where could she have gone, leaving behind such an adorable child? Despite my frustration, I kept a watchful eye on the remaining two. And then, 2 years after Amy's disappearance, a sudden turn of events shook everything. It happened one day while I was out shopping. As I stepped out of the supermarket, I noticed a commotion around me. People were murmuring unsettling phrases like "there's a fire." To confirm their words, a fire truck blared its siren as it sped down the adjacent road. And where it was headed, I felt that ominous premonition. Wait, isn't that the direction of Ryan's house? Since Ryan hadn't returned from work yet, the only one at home would be 7-year-old Oliver. Worried for my precious grandson, I dashed toward their house. I hoped it was all a misunderstanding, but unfortunately, my gut feelings were often accurate. Oh no! Oliver. The place where my son's house should have stood was engulfed in towering flames. Amidst the crowd, I pushed forward, desperate to reach the house. The situation was unclear, but there was a chance Oliver might still be inside. And then,
Grandma.
I turned at the familiar voice and saw my grandson being carried by a firefighter. It seemed the quick response had saved his life. Relieved to see Oliver safe, I was taken aback when he cried out toward the raging flames.
Mom is still inside.
His unexpected confession left my eyes wide, alternating between shock and disbelief. What are you saying? Mom left 2 years ago, didn't she?
No, that's Dad's lie. Mom is still there. We have to help her.
Confused, I held my grandson's hand. Despite the chaos, Oliver's distress seemed genuine. And soon enough, his words were proven true. Mom? Really? Upon hearing Oliver's words, the firefighters entered the house and emerged with Amy, blackened but alive. Beside me, who couldn't understand at all what was happening, my grandson wept inconsolably, and his words hit me like a punch to the gut.
Dad is to blame for everything.
The shocking truth that emerged afterward left me breathless. The next day, alone at home, I waited quietly for someone. Since then, the story I heard from Oliver was too cruel, something I could hardly accept. However, precisely because of that, with a strong determination in my heart, I took a certain action to verify the truth with my own eyes. And a few minutes later, the doorbell finally rang.
Mom, where's Amy? Where's my wife?
Ryan, sweaty and out of breath, stood before me as he barged into the house, frantically searching for his wife. Watching him, a mix of sadness and resolve, I called his name. I told you Amy was waiting based on an email, but that was a lie. I figured you'd come here.
Huh? Why would you? Wait, where is she? Could it be a fire?
Ryan's face turned pale, and I gazed at him in silence. Since hearing about the fire at his home, my son hadn't come to pick up his son, Oliver, and Amy remained missing. I had a general idea of the reason, but without hearing it from my son's own mouth, we couldn't move forward. She's at the hospital with Oliver. She's badly injured, but her life was saved. However, there's something we need to discuss first, right?
It's not a big deal.
So, Amy's disappearance was a lie, I stated. My son flinched, as my mind raced back to the conversation I'd had with Oliver after the fire. According to Oliver, the story of Amy leaving 2 years ago was all Ryan's fabrication. In reality, Amy had been confined to a hidden room within the house, forbidden to leave. He told the neighbors the same lie about her disappearance, and naturally, no missing person report had been filed with the police. Oliver, too, had been threatened not to seek help, fearing that both he and Amy would suffer worse consequences if he spoke up. And unbelievably, Ryan had mistreated Amy, withholding food and even raising his hand against her. The situation was far worse than I'd imagined. Oliver, feeling sorry for the exhausted Amy, attempted to cook for his mother. However, a nearby kitchen paper towel caught fire from the gas flame, leading to the recent house fire and exposing the truth. Why would you keep her confined for 2 years like that? I asked Ryan, my voice trembling as I considered Amy's emotional state. How terrifying it must have been for her, alone in a dark room, having suffered mistreatment from her husband, and unable to seek help due to the false belief that she was missing. However, in response to my inquiry, my son's face flushed red with anger.
It's all her fault. She flirted with other men.
His unexpected words left me wide-eyed, but he paid no attention and angrily slammed his hand on the table. As I listened, it became clear that Ryan's jealousy had played a significant role in Amy's ordeal. For instance, even if Amy merely conversed with male colleagues at work or cashiers, Ryan couldn't tolerate it. He frequently resorted to violence, and the large quantities of bandages and disinfectants she purchased were likely for treating her injuries.
So I had her quit her job, and I even made sure she went shopping with me. But still.
Then, during a family outing, Amy's beauty inadvertently led to a pivotal event. As they walked through town, a man approached her, showing interest. Although Amy was blameless, Ryan erupted in anger. Like the first time I sensed something was wrong, he grew cold toward Amy and eventually confined her at home. She pleaded to be let out, but he continued the mistreatment, justifying it as discipline. Ryan's defense?
I'm just protecting my wife. She's the one who flirts with other men.
His strained voice echoed, leaving me speechless. While I understood the concern over Amy's attractiveness, it didn't excuse inhumane actions. Regardless of love's influence, the fault lay squarely with Ryan, not his wife. Facing my drastically changed son, I grappled with a mix of anger, sadness, and frustration. Taking a step closer. Even so, you won't see her again.
Why not? She's alive, isn't she?
She won't see you because I'm turning you over to the police. I've recorded this conversation. There's no escape, so prepare yourself. My words left Ryan wide-eyed. The fire department's diligent efforts had partially saved the house, including the room where Amy had been confined. Testimonies from the firefighters who rescued her and Oliver's account had prompted the police to investigate Ryan. With ample evidence, this recording would likely seal his fate.
But I just love Amy. What's wrong with that?
Perhaps realizing what lay ahead, Ryan collapsed to his knees, tears streaming down his face. I can't believe that my son, whom my late husband and I raised, would do something like this. But he's already an adult. No matter how much he cries like a child, he can't undo what he's done. Ryan's only option now is to atone for his sins and live a better life. And as a mother, it's my responsibility to guide him toward the right path. Then all the more reason you should pay for your actions. I was unable to contain my frustration. Ryan looked up, defeated, and I met his gaze. Let's go to the police together. It's the only path left for you, I told him. Finally, he nodded in resignation, and we headed to the police station. Afterward, with sufficient evidence, Ryan was arrested. Naturally, he and Amy divorced, and she received a $20,000 settlement. With a long sentence ahead and a restraining order preventing him from approaching his ex-wife and child, Ryan would never see them again. I cut ties with Ryan as well, and now, Amy, Oliver, and I have moved to a different town, starting a new life together. Amy, who had been visiting the hospital frequently, is now on the road to recovery. We hope for a peaceful life ahead, cherishing our newfound happiness as a family.
How did you find this story? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.